Hello, this is Roland. Welcome. This is a new episode in my continuing series on the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount, read from a beautiful translation of the Khabouris manuscript. And so I'm just going to get right at it, and we're going to begin with chapter 6, verse 22. The light for your earthly life is perception. Therefore, if your perception is without fault, your whole life shall be enlightened. If your perception be evil, your whole life shall be darkened by it. If the light for you is darkness, how deep will your darkness become? Man cannot follow two masters, for he will hate one and dearly love the other. One he will honor and the other despise. You cannot serve God and materiality. Because of this I say unto you, do not burden your napsha over what you shall eat or what you shall drink or what clothes you shall wear. Is not that's your soul. That's the Aramaic word for self or for soul. Okay? Is not napsha greater than nourishment and your life greater than garments? Consider the birds of the sky. They do not sow nor reap, nor gather into granaries, and your Father of heaven provides for them. Are you not greater than they? For which of you, by being worried, is able to add 1 cubit to his height? As to the garments, why should you be anxious? Behold the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. But I say unto you, not even Solomon in all his majesty was arrayed like one of them. So let's stop right there, and let's go back and reread the first 2 verses that I read today. The light of your earthly life is perception. Therefore, if your perception is without fault, your whole life shall be enlightened. If your perception be evil, your whole life shall be darkened by it. If the light for you is darkness, how deep will your darkness become? Okay? The light of your earthly life is perception. The light of your earthly life is perception. So let's talk about that. It's very important. That may be key. The key thing that you need to understand, which I've been talking about this now for 26 years. Every lecture, every article, every book, every chapter of every book. Perception. So let me go over the groundwork again. If you've heard my other lectures, then you've heard this before, but there are always new people coming. And maybe you heard it before and you didn't really get it. Or maybe you saw it a little bit, but it's better if you see it again, more deeply. See, there's a certain getting it involved. There's a certain getting it to making the transition from death to life, for salvation to begin, for your life to turn around, for you to suddenly see what you've been missing, why you've been messing up and your life isn't working out, or why you've been doing the very best you can and everything's sort of okay, but still something's wrong, something's missing. Okay, so you need to get it. You know, like the old expression, like when the other penny drops, or the eureka moment, or the aha moment. You need to get it, where you say, "Oh, I get it." It's like a math problem. You're struggling with a math problem and you just can't figure it out, and then maybe your professor points something out. Look there. Okay, see, you get it. Or a joke. You have to get the joke. If you don't get it, it's not funny. You have to get it. So someone tells a joke and then you get it. Okay? Maybe you don't get it. So then they give you a couple of hints and you go, oh, okay, you get it. See, it's very important. So there's a certain getting it. So what you have to see is that perception. The light of your life is perception. See, God gave animals instinct. He gave humans perception. See, you not only can you see, but you can also perceive. Not only can you hear, but you can also understand. You see, there's that other level where you get the big picture. See, you see with your eyes, but your soul comprehends. Okay? Another word for it is understanding. You remember when you were a kid, and sometimes authorities, maybe your mom or dad or a teacher or coach, they were talking at you but not to you. They were talking at you but not to you. They may have had the right words and said the right thing, but they didn't have understanding. Or they got things backward. See, when they should have said no, when you said, can I go out with these other kids until midnight? Well, okay. They should have said no. See, they should have been firm. See, but instead they said okay. But then one day you weren't feeling very well, or something happened at school, something happened, and you were sitting there. It was hard to study. And they came up and started yelling at you. If you don't do your homework, then you're not going to be, you won't go skiing this weekend. I'm sick and tired of you not doing your homework. How are you ever going to amount to anything if you don't do your homework? See what I mean? They had it all wrong. Just a wrong. There they should have been gentle. They should have been kind. If they had understanding, they would have seen. See? All right, well, that's understanding. Now, the reason your life is not working out, the reason why you make mistakes, whether it's spending too much money, buying the wrong thing, marrying the wrong person, okay? Just all kinds of mistakes, wrong timing, wrong everything, okay? Or seemingly the right thing, but it doesn't work out. You don't understand because you're doing what they told you to do. Why, they said you should, go to school, get your degree, get this job, take this job because it has a better future than that job. And, but somehow something's didn't work out. It's because you don't have perception. See, you're reacting. You're reacting and being programmed, just like an animal. So you become a clever animal. You've memorized things. You know how to Google search. You have clever things to say. You know how to fool people. You know how to change the subject, strategically change the subject, or you know how to turn the conversation onto them, talking about them, so that they'll forget to ask you about something. You know all these clever little things, these cunning things. But they're just, it's animal cunning. See? Or it can be worse. It can be diabolical cunning. See? Which it can lead to that. Can lead to a devilish cunning. But let's just keep it real simple. What you need is perception. So you need to have light. Christ said it right here. He said, the light of your life is perception. So you need perception. So you can see deceit and who the deceiver is. So you can see when there's something not quite right about something. Sometimes it's very subtle. Very delicate. See, you may not be able to explain it, but you just see something not quite right about something. Everybody else is rushing to do something, but somehow you demur. Something is holding you back. Okay, that's the inner light in which you perceive. So now let's get back to it again. Animals have instincts. God gives humans intuition. where you can see, where you can perceive, where you can realize. See, I try to say it in different way and use different terms, so maybe one of them you'll get it. So you have a soul, okay, which is your real person. See, you're a hand in a hand, a foot in a foot, an eye in an eye. You have a soul, okay, an inner person. And your soul was made to perceive in God's light. See? In God's light, you can see. God's light shines upon things, and in His light, you see. Okay? You see the meaning of things, or you see deception, or you see something not quite right about something, or on the other hand, you see something kind of right about something, and you can't put words on it. You go one way to safety and health and prosperity. And other people might say, what are you doing? What are you doing that for? That doesn't make any sense, but you see it. Okay? Okay? Whereas other people, Christ talked about the blind, leaders of the blind. See? In the Old Testament it said there's a way that seems to lead to happiness and success, but it leads to death. I can't remember the exact words, but something like it. It's in the Old Testament. There's a way that seems right to people. It says, there's a way that seems right to people, but it leads to destruction. Okay? That's what you see all around you. Everybody's struggling and striving and getting ahead and setting goals and buying the right car, seemingly, and working and getting a promotion and going to school, and they've got the latest iPhone and the latest big screen TV, and they're reading the latest spiritual book on the bestseller list, and they just see, and they eat the right health, and they eat organic food, and drink bottled water, and they just seem. See, and it seems right to them. I'm not saying that you should eat bad food and, not work and not get a promotion. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that there's two ways of doing everything. There's kind of a blind way, a programmed way, going along to get along, or kind of a way. And then there's to do something because you see that it's wise. See, you perceive that it's wise. You realize that it's wise. You sense that it's wise. You wordlessly know that it's wise. See, in God's light. Your soul is observing things in God's light. But when you're lost down in your imagination, when you're lost in thinking, see what happens? The animal goes out in the world and suddenly there's a danger. The cat is out there and there's a big dog. The cat reacts to the dog, and then there's programming where the cat will run away. Okay? Well, the computer brain of the animal lights up when there's some kind of a stress or a danger, or let's say an opportunity, like the cat sees a mouse, okay? Then the computer brain lights up to help the mouse help the cat catch the mouse, okay? Well, when you react like an animal, that's the way you've been taught. See, that's all you've been taught. Nobody taught you the way that I'm showing you now. See, we've always known that there are people who live according to their intuition. We know that. Who do what's right, what they know is right in their heart. People who follow that star, that lodestar of their destiny. Christopher Columbus, Albert Einstein, Moses. These people, they weren't lost down in their imagination. They were close to the light, close to God's light. Okay? Well, okay, and they had wisdom, and they had understanding, and they had wisdom, because what they did and what they said was done in light. They perceived in the light and they moved in the light. See? Well, so they were in the world but not of the world. But what's happened to you, and this is all you ever known, is you react to something on the outside, your computer brain lights up, and then you go into thinking. You go into thinking, and then you do something. Something comes to you from what you memorized in the past, or what somebody said, or who knows where it comes from. But then you do something, and then it's wrong. You say the wrong thing, you make the wrong move. See? You get into an argument, you upset. See, you do things not good. Something's wrong. Then what do you do after you make a mistake? After you have the argument with your wife, or you yell at your kids, or you get angry at your neighbor, or you bang your fist on the steering wheel when there's traffic delay, or you drink too much, or you eat too much, or do something you shouldn't do. Then what do? Then you escape into thinking again. Escape down into your thinking to try to think about what happened and try to rearrange it so you can feel better about it. Maybe you can think of some way to blame somebody else, for example, or make an excuse, well, I couldn't help it, see? Or you think about the future. Well, next time I'll do this and I'll do that, and when she says this, then I'll say that, see? Either that or the whole thing was just too painful. You sweep it under the rug, but in order not to see you're failing. You're failing to act with grace, with wisdom, with patience, see, out of principle. See, you don't want to see that failure, so then you escape into imagination again, to daydream about something, to think about what you're going to eat, what you're going to do, what you're going to buy, or you smoke marijuana or drink, see, to assist you into escaping, and you play video games or get lost in texting, see, something to escape. But I've always said you can't find God in thinking, see, you can't find God in study, and you won't find God in your imagination. God is in reality, and His light. You will make contact with it, with a light of intuition by which you can perceive when you're in reality and not lost in thinking, not lost in study, not lost in worry, not lost in planning and scheming. You see? So, Christ's words, now listen to them again and see the meaning, the deep meaning. The light for your earthly life is perception. Therefore, if your perception is without fault, your whole life shall be enlightened. See? Now, what clouds our perception? What would be what fault would there be to cloud our perception? Anger? Resentment. See? Making something too important? Being selfish? Impatience? See? Resentment, anger. See? Judgment. See? Form a judgment. If you formed a judgment about someone, and when you meet them again, you won't have fresh eyes. You'll see them, and your perception will be clouded by that judgment. See? It's okay to discern. See? You've heard the old expression, the difference between judgment and discernment. See, it's okay to discern. If somebody has made a mistake or is making one, it's okay for me to see that. See? I see it. But just don't judge, but without judgment, without that little pinch of resentment, or without puffing up in pride and looking down on them or resenting them. See? Just see it. Just see the mistake. That's all. So, okay, then the next day when you encounter that person, you have fresh eyes. You don't have a judgment of them. So now maybe they've changed. All of a sudden, now they're not doing the same thing anymore that they did. That was error. And that's nice. See, you notice that too, but you don't make a big deal over it. You just notice it. That's nice. Well, maybe they're making the same mistake again. Okay, so you see it. Okay. See, a lot of parents mess things up with their kids because they say, I knew you were going to do that. You always do that. See, they form a judgment. Then they label someone. Well, she's a lazy one in the family, or she's the impetuous one, or she's the one that always talks too much, or he's the quiet one. Or see, they're all forming all these labels, which See? So you have fresh eyes. Okay? So with fresh eyes, and so you're not angry. So now you encounter a situation. You're not angry. You're not upset. You're not resentful. You're not preoccupied. See, that will cloud perception. Preoccupied with what happened before. See, the other thing is when you mess up, when you react, well, instead of saying mess up, let me just say this. When you react to a situation like an animal does, then what you do is your mind photographs the scene and you become imprinted by the memory of it. So you have an imprinted memory and possibly programming, okay, and also an engram. Even your flesh has a memory of the event, see? So then when you encounter that similar event again, then what happens then? Well, then your heart is racing and you feel upset, and see what I mean? But see, you're reacting like an animal. So technically that's incorrect. Technically it's incorrect. We're not supposed to react like animals. We're supposed to move by God's light, in His light. See, and not doubt His light, and check with your intuition. See, if someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, I want you to do something," well, I let a heartbeat go by and I check with my intuition, what I know in my heart, wordlessly. And if there's no impediment, or if it seems like the wise thing to do, or the right thing, or okay thing, and I don't feel anything restraining me or holding me back, then I can do it. Okay? I don't have to, but I can. But if someone comes up and says, "Hey, do this and that," but I sense that something's withholding me, or there's something not right about it, okay, then I just don't do it. I just don't do it. Okay? It's that simple. So it's a very important principle. Let a heartbeat go by and check with your intuition. See, here's another good example. I haven't given this one recently. I'm running out of time here. I don't want to make this too long. Here's another good example. There's two different reasons for stopping at a stop sign. One reason for stopping at the stop sign is so that you won't get a ticket. Okay, you don't want to get a ticket, so you stop. Okay, there might be a policeman around, so you stop. See, someone might see it, and you don't want them to see it, or you don't want your family to see you running it, so you stop. But mainly it's the policeman. You don't want to get a ticket. But there's another reason for stopping at a stop sign, okay, which is the reason I stop at stop signs. The reason I stop at a stop sign is because I can see that it's wise. It's a wise thing to do. That's why I stop. So two people stop at the stop sign, okay, but their motivation is entirely different. One's doing it so he won't get caught, so he won't get a ticket. The other one's doing it because he sees that it's wise. See, you have to learn to live in God's light and check with His light, okay, and love His light. Always checking with it, always checking with your intuition, okay, and moving that way. That way you will be independent. You won't be reacting like an animal. Your authority will be your intuition, which is from God. So intuition from God will be your authority. See? And when you cooperate with worldly authorities, you're doing it because you see that it's wise, or it's the right thing to do, or it makes sense. See? But your authority is actually the inner authority. Okay? God rarely speaks to people with words. Mostly He shines His light upon things. You can see whether to go right or left, whether to say yes or whether to say no. He shines His light, and you perceive, and you move in that light. You see? All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's little episode on the Sermon on the Mount, and I hope to see you in my next video about the Sermon on the Mount, Lord willing.